Washington University, graduated with science and clinical psychology. Also began his doctoral studies at Washington State University, with a 3-year assistantship at the Office of Multicultural Student Retention Services.
Yes.
He got his pre-doctoral internship at Spokane Mental Health, and is a doctor in philosophy and counseling psychology. To show that he does know what he's talking about, he's done counseling sessions and educational workshops for adults who suffer from anxiety, depression, relationship concerns, and anxieties, and anger. Also, he counseled for Eastern Washington University students and the Washington State University students. What he likes to do is free time, is fish, and if you saw him this Halloween, he was dressed in his full motocross gear. So he's definitely passionate about that. And all these credentials are great, but it doesn't really say much unless you use what he's teaching. And so I don't know if you guys know about Rate My Professor. You can look up here. And some of the key notes that students have left after taking this Psych 100, Psych 200, is that his lectures are interesting. They learned a lot. He makes it easy to succeed in his class. And one said that she took his summer course and was really worried about lecture classes because she doesn't do well with that. But she was able to follow along very well, and she actually got a 4.0 in his class. So I think that's an attest to his teaching and his knowledge, and you'd all welcome him. Here's dear Moua.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I don't believe everything you hear on the internet, okay? Whether it's good or bad. Okay. All right, so positive psychology. Let's start. Right. I wanted to make a comment that about 2 weeks ago, my daughter, I have 6 kids, and my 8-year-old, my second to youngest, so 1 son, 5 girls. My 8-year-old, she came up to me. We're sitting down in my little sanctuary. I call it my sanctuary. And we're just talking about life. And she says, Dad, I noticed that you don't smile as much. I thought, how did you come up with that? And so she goes, see that picture? It's a picture of me with the family. She says, you don't smile like that as much anymore. And I thought to myself, wow, what's going on? And I thought about it and said, yeah, I guess, going to school forever, getting married, having 6 kids, working full-time, having a mother that lives with me who is, 83 years old. So I thought, gosh, maybe there's something to that. So I thought, I need to learn to be happier too. So I think this isn't just for you, but it's for me as well. So I'm really grateful for everybody being here. I want to also thank 2 individuals, 2 students of mine, is Matt Lee here and Melinda. They're probably running around with the officers. Those 2 individuals, they came to me last quarter and said, Jur, can you please be a speaker for this conference we're having in the fall? And I thought about it and I said, oh, okay. So so I want to thank them, and also I wanted to recognize them because if I don't do a good job, you know who to blame. Not me, right? Okay. Just kidding. All right, so let's move on to the science of happiness. How many of you have ever been happy before? I want everybody's hands to be up. If you're not, I'm a little worried. Okay, all right, good. Now, how many of you have been very happy? Okay, I want you to stand up and put your hands up. For those who have been very happy. All right. Woo! Okay, good. All right, good. Okay. All of you, right? Okay, good. Good. All right. Let's see here. Turn this on. Okay, so since you 4 said that you're really happy, I want you to tell us when you're very happy, what is it? Hold on a second. Get the microphone here. Sure. So what was that experience like when you're very happy? Because we want to try to define it, right? So just tell us from your experience when you're very happy, what was going on?
I don't have to describe what was going on.
You don't have to tell me the
Just
specifics of the
Thank you.
details. You can be happy in that way too.
Yeah, happiness, to me, is inside. You're just full of joy. Life is good. It's just a strong emotional feeling that you have of joy.
All right, excellent. Let's give her a hand. That's such a. All right, so she's touched on. So here, are you a psychologist? Okay, all right, good. So here she can tell us she's a grandma. Okay, all right. So she knows a lot about being happy, right? So happiness, you mentioned that it's an emotion, right? It's a good feeling, right? And you said something about life and satisfaction or something? Something like that? Okay, all right, so good. So let's quickly define that. So yes, happiness is an emotion, right? You feel good, okay? And it's also a kind of a cognitive piece, which is you think about your life and you say, wow, my life is pretty satisfying. I mean, I have healthy kids, I have a great job, you know, I'm healthy. Yeah, life is pretty good. So that's what happiness is, for the most part, based on what researchers have kind of tried to grapple with. So they, there's some debates, but they've kind of contained it, said, yes, happiness is an emotion, you feel good, and you think about good things, right? So, what I want you to do, and you get it, what's your name?
My name's Beverly.
Beverly. And what was your name?
Debbie.
Debbie K. Beverly, right?
Yes.
Okay, Beverly, what I want you to do is, since you said you were very happy, you should be able to detect and find people who are happy, right? Okay, so here's a face. I want you to tell me if this is the happy face or not. Okay, here we go. That's not me, by the way. It's my alter ego. Okay, so what, if you had to tell us what kind of face or expression that is, what is it?
He's angry.
Angry, excellent, good job. What about this one?
He's surprised.
Surprise, okay, good. I had to work on this last night. My daughter took pictures of me. Okay, so far 2 for 2, that's pretty good. What about this one? It's not constipated. Okay, that was her first choice. No, that's not. Worried? Okay, this one's a little bit difficult, right? Anybody else? You said worried, afraid. Anybody else? What? Disgusted. All right, good job. All right, so it's all right. You called your helpline there. Okay, good. All right. What about this one? Don't care. What? Anybody else?
Indecisive.
Okay, maybe I didn't do a good job on this one. It's supposed to be sad. I'm just such a happy person, it's hard to be sad. I'll just blame it on that. Okay, how about this one, Beverly?
Afraid.
Afraid, good job. All right, fear, excellent, good job. What about this one?
Happy.
There we go, we finally found the happy face, right? Good. All right, let's give Beverly a hand. All right, good job, Beverly. Thank you. All right, so those are the 6 basic emotions that you just told us about, okay? So why are they called the basic emotions? Because they're all understood and expressed in people from different nations, right? So definitely we all have it within us. It's in our genetics, okay? So the question, and what's your name? Brenda. Okay, Brenda, you have another question here. Look at those 6 options, and out of those 6 basic emotions, are there more positive or negative emotions?
Negative.
Negative, okay. All right, so which ones are the negative ones?
Fear, anger, disgust, sadness.
Okay, all
I would
right.
call surprise a negative.
Okay, good.
Necessarily.
I would agree with you that 2 out of the 6, right, are positive and 4. So it's almost a 1-to-3 ratio, right? So it's like, what the heck? Why is it that we as human beings, we would have more negative emotions within our kind of genetics or the way we are built than positive? Any thoughts? Okay, pass it back to this gentleman. Thanks.
Proportionally, more things can make you happy. So happiness covers a broader range of emotions, where anger is very specific, sadness is really specific.
Okay, so you said that it's broader, right? What are the functions? Like, what would it do for us to have more negative emotions?
More negative emotions just makes you feel worse and has physical effects.
And we like that? We want to be physically ill and worried? No? But somehow we are drawn to that, right?
The negative emotions are associated with situations that are negative, and many times those are the ones we remember, not the positive things that happen every day that we just go along through life and we're happy or we're satisfied, but when something bad happens, we never forget it. We always remember that.
So again, why? Why does that happen?
Survival of the fittest.
Survival, woo! Okay, good job. I forgot to bring my Halloween candy. I would give each one of you one, right? So I just thought about that. Okay, here. So yes, more negative emotions than positive because for survival, right? So think about it, when we're angry or someone's angry, we say, well, I better either get out of here, they might hurt me, right? Okay, so or if we're seeing someone who's like, if they're fearful, we're going to be looking around saying, okay, is there something going to eat me, someone going to hurt me, right? So it dictates, it kind of forces us to act, okay? Whereas positive emotions, unfortunately, from an evolutionary perspective, it's kind of meaningless. It's like, it doesn't really do a whole lot for us. But negative emotions require us to act, right? So in that sense, it's designed to help us to survive, right? Okay, so that's a good thing, right? But it's causing some problems with us when we live in a society where we don't every day, engage in activities where we can get eaten up, right? All right, so talking about survival here. Does anybody know this man? He's not a psychologist. Anybody in the corporate world, technology? Okay, this man is known for saying this: only the paranoid survive. And he's a very successful CEO of Intel Corporation. All right? Okay. So, what I'm trying to get at here is, look, we gravitate towards negative things. Like you said, we think about it, we look around and say, ooh, this person's, might hurt me, I better, keep attention on it. She's nice, so I'm not worried about you. But I'm going to keep my eyes on this guy, right? I'm going to spend most of my time looking at this guy. But all these wonderful things that are happening to me, you're okay. You're not going to hurt me, so I don't care about you. I'm worried about this guy, right? So that's what we tend to do, right? Okay. So, what has psychology been doing because of what our needs are in society, right? So what happened was that the need was, especially right after World War II, the need was, hey, we have people who are ill, who are damaged. We need you to figure it out, fix people, treat people, right? So that's what psychology did. And they did a pretty good job, right? So psychology, the supply with psychology, spent over 50 years trying to treat people, okay? So they came up with theories that were based on pathology, abnormality, sickness, illness, right? And what did we learn, right? After 50 years of looking at, in a way, the worst of humans, right? That what's wrong with people, what's the worst thing that people can do? What did we learn? the positive thing is we learned that at least 14 disorders can be either cured or relieved considerably. So that's a good thing. An important part, and I always put stars when I tell my students, okay, that's going to be on the test. Okay, so you all, there's a test afterwards. Just kidding. All right, so negative emotional experiences are independent of positive emotions. Can somebody tell us what that means? What's your name? Daniel.
Negative emotional experiences impacts people differently, and positive impacts people differently as well. It just depends on the person and how they perceive that positive and that negative, and how they intake that into their mental and physical being, and how they process that. Whereas for a very happy person, for someone who's very upbeat or maybe has had a lot of rough patches in life, a very happy experience could be like your family coming together for Thanksgiving. A very negative could be like someone in your family dying.
Okay, those are really good examples. Let me ask you this question. Let me kind of fine tune it just a bit here. So, if you're not depressed, you're not anxious, you're not worried, right? Because those are negative things. If we take those away, does that make you automatically happier?
Yeah, it could.
It could, but what we found is not necessarily. They're independent of each other, so that just because, right? So if you're homeless, you don't have a job, you're stressed, yes, you would be happier if you had a job and you weren't stressed. But once you have those things, it doesn't automatically make you happier, right? So thank you. All right, so that's really important because 1969, when Brad Byrne really looked at this kind of research and said, guess what? If that's what it is, we're on the wrong track. If we keep looking at people and saying, okay, let's just focus on the bad things and remove it, then we should be good. That's not going to do it, right? So that's really fundamental in terms of the development and emergence of positive psychology. So, I have something here. Okay, who's going to answer this question? We're going to give it to somebody else. Because you're scaring me. Just kidding. I love people who participate, so kudos for you.
They're both evil?
They're both what?
Evil.
Evil, good job. All right, so they're both evil, they're villains, right? Okay. So, when we look at Hollywood movies and we say, in this movie, and this villain, this evil person, if we just got rid of him or her, we would all live happily ever after, right? But guess what? Once the witch is gone or Maleficent is gone, the prince and the princess, they have arguments too, That's what we don't see. And then they might get divorced, Then they're like us, all right? So that's the part we don't see, okay? So just getting rid of the negative events doesn't necessarily make us happy. That's important. Is there a question? Yeah?
I can speak louder.
Okay. Go ahead, Chance.
But in the movie, both of them found redemption.
Yes, I purposely in a way put that in there to see that, these two individuals represent us, right? The negative side of us, and that there's good in us too, right? But sometimes we focus so much on the negative, we forget that we have good things to contribute to others, right? So good. Right. So correcting weakness, repairing damage, removing negative emotions, that's not enough. And that's what psychology has been doing for over 50 years. It's just fixing what's wrong, not looking at what's going well with people. Okay? So that pretty much caused a paradigm shift, right? So that's a huge different perspective of how to work with people, how to help people. So that's what we call like the paradigm shift. And so this is called positive psychology, the science of happiness. And this man, Martin Solomon, was the president of APA, the American Psychological Association, in 1998. And one of his first things he wanted to do was to start this movement towards looking at the positive, right? What's right with people? What are the things that they're doing that is helping them to survive and overcome adversity? Okay. So now just a little disclaimer here. Positive psychology obviously is not so original that it started with Marcus Seligman, but the reason why it is in the discipline psychology is because he's one of the first persons to say, okay, there's so much information out there about self-help books and ways to make you happy. Is there any common denominator, and is there any that actually works? It's validated, not just like psychology, but it actually has been tested, right? So that's what the science of happiness, positive psychology is about. It's about looking at the positives, but making sure it actually works. Okay? So here's some things. Focus on what's going right. Now, I got to give an example of what you don't want to do, okay? So my wife's going to love this, okay? 2 examples, but I'll just use one, spare her here, right? So one day, I come home with some fish from fishing, and she says, honey, could you please put the fish in the refrigerator? So, or I think it was the freezer. And I put it in the fridge, right? She comes, first thing she says is, why didn't you put it in the freezer? And I said, I put it in the fridge. She's like, no, I want it in the freezer. And I thought to myself, why can't she just be happy that it's in a cooling system? I mean, would you have rather it stayed out in the sun-baked 90-degree weather? Or would you rather it be in the fridge where we can actually choose to put it in the freezer later? But no, she had to tell me that there's something wrong, right? That I didn't do it just right, right? So this is just an example that every day we do these things, right? We don't think about it. Instead she could say, I asked for the freeze, but I appreciate the fact that you even put it away. Thank you very much. All right, but now what do I get, right? Okay, so focus on what's going right. What did that person do right? Not what did they do wrong, right? That's really big. Okay. Strengths, okay? How do you know what your strengths are? Anybody? Someone said, well, what is that, Jerry? How do I know?
Things that are easy for you, that means you're good at it.
Okay. You said that things that are easy.
The things that are easy for you, that you succeed in, that you get the top grade, and it seems to come naturally. I think those are your strengths.
Okay, good. Yeah, I would agree that things that seem to be natural to you, that you have an interest, right? And it's almost like the experience of like, I can't wait to get up in the morning because I want to do this, or I have this thought, and I'm really spending a lot of time doing it, right? So you have that desire, that passion to do it, right? Good. So think about that, right? If that's what you feel good about and what you're doing doesn't join with that, then you're really not maximizing your strength, right? So competencies, okay? So let's look at what are some skills that you can build, right? Okay. So not what you can't fix, or it's very difficult to fix, right? But what you can do. So let's say if you're an introvert, and it's really hard for you to just go up and talk to people, you don't have to become an extrovert. You just need to build a few skills to know how to get in front and do a few things, and then afterwards maybe go throw up in the bathroom. But hey, people don't have to see that. I'm just kidding. And so you just learn to adapt, right? So you can build a little bit of skill to be able to get through, right? That's all you need. All right, virtues, okay? So let's focus on what is inherently good about people, right? That people who are honest, who have integrity, who can persevere, right? Who have courage. Those are important attributes, right? And we should cherish that. We should encourage that. helping average people not only survive, right, but positive psychology is helping us to thrive and flourish. Okay? Another good test question, right? Science of well-being, grounded in scientific data. Okay, so that last point, just again, because there's so much information out there, you could go on Google, Bing, Yahoo, and type happiness, and you can get thousands and thousands of articles and books, right? So trying to figure out what actually works. That's what positive psychology is doing. Okay, empirically validated activities for increasing happiness. So this is the part where you're like, okay, this is the $65,000 question, right? How do you actually increase someone's happiness? Any thoughts? Because we know that the reason why we're talking about this is we know that people who are extroverted, who are outgoing, sociable, talkative, kind of like me, those people tend to report that they're really happy. So it's like, okay, fine, you get kind of a jump start on being happy, right? And people who tend to make more money, they tend to be happier up to about, I don't know, it's like $75,000. And then after that, they're not any happier, right? So at least we have a target to move towards, right? Okay? Some of you are like, oh shoot, I'm $20,000 down. Boss, can you give me a raise? Drew said if I get $75,000, I'll be happy. Okay? No. That's what you do with the money you have, right? Did you have a question? No? Okay. All right, so we know that those are some of the characteristics, right? People who have high self-esteem, right? So if you have high self-esteem, you're happily married, right? You're healthy, okay? You have some kind of faith. If you're in that category, you have a little jump start. But what if some of us who aren't married, who still starting out, how do we become happier, right? So what do we do? Can we change anything? Yeah.
Go to the park, or do a fun hike with kids, or take your dogs or pets out to walk, or just get out of the house or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, so
Something active.
doing something active, okay? Going to the park, enjoying things, especially here in Spokane, we have a lot of parks within a 1 mile radius. We might hit 2 parks, right? There's a lot of things we could do that are free, right? And we pay our taxes, but for the most part, it's free, right?
Instead of focusing on what you don't have, you should focus on like what you do have and be happy with what you got. There are a lot of people in this country and other countries that don't have what we have. And you go to the sink to get a glass of clean water. In other countries, that would be a miracle to get, let alone medical technology.
Yes, excellent point about, we have the luxury of getting clean water, right? Growing up in Laos, I was there for, a few years, that, clean water was something you don't hear about, right? So you're absolutely right. We take those things for granted, okay? So I'm counting your blessings, right? So, all right? So my course, Psych 250, Positive Psychology, we do an activity every day where we jot down 3 things that we're grateful for every day, right? So we try to do that before we start class, and we talk about it. And so just to remind us that, there's good things that's happened to us, right? Writing letters of gratitude. Okay? So if you think about someone who has done something for you that you haven't thanked, maybe it's an opportunity for you to do this, right? To write a letter. For example, myself, I'm planning on writing a letter to my 7th grade teacher. I grew up in Missoula, Montana, went to CS Porter, and he impacted me in a way that helped me to really focus on education and do well. And he has moved to Anaconda, Montana, so I got his address, and so I've been thinking about writing him a letter to thank him for his contribution of being a great teacher. Okay. Now, practicing optimistic thinking. Okay. So, how do you do that? And are optimists, are they just wearing rosy-colored glasses? Right? So what do you think? Are optimists just simply looking at life with these tinted glasses, and they really don't see what it is for its reality? Anybody? Yeah.
They just they think more about the positive than the negatives.
Think about, okay. Here are some things that are actually different about people who are optimistic. They define the problem, right? They have humor, okay? Right? And what else? They try to solve it by looking at from different perspectives, right? Looking from different perspectives. And so those things really help optimists to be able to see that, hey, there's an expectation that things could turn out well.
They see past the problem, they can visualize that this is dealt with, what will be later, because they know what came before.
Yeah, so they see the,
They visualize past the problem.
visualize past the problem.
Imagine what it would be like after that is dealt with,
Mhm.
what it would be like, because they've known it before, so they're not so situated on the current now.
Mhm. Okay, good, excellent. Okay, doing acts of kindness, right? If there's probably one single thing you could do that probably contributes the most to happiness is to help other people be happy. That's so simple, yet so hard to do, right? Okay? Just helping other people to be happier, right? Now, again, this past summer I've been into fishing a lot, so forgive me if I'm stuck with these fish analogies here, right? But, you know, I found out that I'm a very competitive person, and whatever I do, I want to beat people. And whether it's fishing, playing basketball, even if I can't do something, if you say, let's go and do it, I'll do it. I'll probably get killed, but I'll still do it, right? So I'm very competitive. So when I was fishing, I noticed myself that I would tend to look over to see when people were catching fish and how many fish I was catching more than they were. And I felt really happy when I had more. And then I thought, you know, and then when they caught more than me, I wasn't very happy. And I thought about that, and I'm like, this is not good. And then one day I saw a family with 2 kids, and they spent 4 hours on the dock, didn't catch a single thing. And I caught 2 fish, you know, pretty quickly. And then I went over there, I was watching how they were doing things, and I said, hey, do you mind if I have your kids? I'll throw my, you know, my line out there, and when it, you know, fish bites, I can have your kid come and pull it and take the fish. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. So we catch fish and they pull and they're really happy. And then I say to him, hey, I don't want to insult your intelligence, but I noticed your leader line is really short. And the guy's like, I looked at yours and I've been making notes. And so I'm like, I'm so glad you're open to suggestion. Here's some more suggestions. So I gave it to him, and he took it down. And next week, he came back with his 2 kids, and he's like, I got everything down to the T. I measured everything. I'm like, that's cool, right? So here I am. I was able to help them, and they caught fish, and they weren't as excited as I was. I was so happy for them. And I thought, dang, this feels good. I like to do more of this, right? So something as simple as that, right? It can make us happy. Using one's signature strength in new ways. Okay? Any thoughts about this one? Somebody? Where's the microphone? Hold on. We want to hear you. It's not a stupid thought.
Yes, it is. Were you unhappy when those people caught more fish than you did?
I said yes. I wasn't happy, and I thought, what is wrong with me? I'm catching fish. I should be happy. You know, beautiful weather, but no. I have 3. You have 4, right? So. Oh no. The people that I helped, they caught fish. No, I was ecstatic because it became not about competition, but seeing them succeed and catching fish. That was what made me happy. So no, not the folks that I helped. Yeah, she was just teasing. Okay, all right. You done teasing me now? Now you're gonna, now you're gonna answer the question? Now she's refusing that. Any thoughts about how you can use your signature strengths, so what you're really good at, that seems to be, kind of natural, it's easier for you, you can do it and spend lots of time and with energy. How can you do that a little bit differently?
Well, my only thought on that is that if you can do something, if you can do it really well and then you don't do it, then you're defeating your purpose and it takes away from your happiness. So if you can do something really well, then you
Okay. All right. So if I'm a decent teacher at teaching people, then maybe I can also teach people how to fish or teach other things, right? So that I can do it in a way that helps others. That's new instead of just teaching, right? Do you have another one?
Instead of like doing art yourself, you should share your art with everybody. Give them some paintbrushes and some paint and just paint together as a group.
Okay. So sharing your passion with others and encouraging them to do those things with you, right? All right. Excellent. Good job. Cognitive reappraisal. Okay. This is the big one. We're talking about cognitive therapy and its focus, right? Okay. So here's a cognitive reappraisal story. One day I was driving with my dirt bike in the back, had it cinched down with the tie downs. I was driving and there's a motorcycle guy behind me, following me, and suddenly he pulls and is passing me. As he's passing me, he's like, "Yo, man, pull over!" And I'm like, "What the heck? What did I do?" And then he gets right in front of me and slows down and says, like this to me. I'm like, "Well, you too." I'm like, "Why are you getting in front of me, now slowing down? I almost ran into you and pointing fingers at me." And I was kind of upset about this, right? So finally I get to the 7-mile RV, I pull up to the dirt road, and I'm like calming myself down. I look and, oh my gosh, my straps, one of them fell off, the other one was really loose, and the dirt bike was going to flip over. It was just kind of hanging, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the guy was trying to help me. But this whole time, I'm like, what an ass, right? I mean, he's doing all this. So again, right, how do we relook at the situation, right? Sometimes it's all about how we interpret it, right? So that's really huge. Okay? Psychological acceptance versus suppression. Okay? So I think we have to know our limitations. We have to realize that sometimes in life, there's things that maybe we can't really change, and learn to accept it, right? Instead of suppressing and saying, I'm really anxious, but it's like, don't think about anxiety, don't think about anxiety. No, I'm not going to do that. No, that doesn't help. That actually can worsen it, right? So sometimes accepting that, hey, I'm really anxious. I'm going to spend time to write down why I'm anxious. And actually by tuning in and accepting it, you actually can help alleviate it, okay? So don't always just try to avoid it. Sometimes acknowledging it is a good thing. Okay, now the one thing you need to think about in all of those is that you always have to tweak, right, fine-tune the activities that is consistent with who you are, okay? That's really important for anything to work. It has to be meaningful for you, and this is a big one, and you have to want to do it, okay? Because if someone says to you, son, I went to this talk and Jer said, you need to do your blessings. I want you to write 5 on them tonight. Tomorrow 5. And you're like, here, Mom, happy? Then guess what? It's not going to work because you didn't want to do it. You're not very motivated. Right? You're just doing it to please her, right? So you have to want to do it, okay? And you have to do it that's consistent with who you are. So if you're an introvert, right, you don't have to jump out there and say, hey, where's the party? Everybody, here I am. You could just maybe write to people to thank them. That might be more meaningful for you. An extrovert might actually go out there and help people and get things together and do stuff. That's more consistent with an extrovert, right? So make sure you know who you are and find things that are consistent with who you are. And you have to put effort, right? And you have to put motivation in order to benefit from it. Because if you just do it, but you don't really put in the effort, you're not going to really feel the effect of the experience. I was telling students, don't write everything down. Just get the big picture, right? Okay, why do these activities increase happiness? Well, here it is. Okay, so if you do these activities, what they do is they basically hit 3 of the basic needs that we as humans have, based on what researchers have found. Autonomy. So once again, if it's intentional, you choose to do something, then that's going to make you feel like, hey, I have a say in that. I control what I do. That fulfills that sense of control that we have. So that's good. Relatedness, right? So if we do kind acts to people, we help others, we give to charity, we're going to feel connected to people. That is huge in terms of happiness. Okay. We're social beings, helping others contributes the most. And then competence, right? By doing those things, we start to feel like we can actually have some skills, some mastery of something. And that also makes us happy as well. Okay, some of these other strategies, let's see here. Okay, this one is actually, one that I teach in my class about a downward social comparison. So if I think someone said earlier over here, I think you said about the clean water and stuff, if we look at people who are less fortunate than us, it makes us happier. But if we look upward and say, well, I only made $50,000, she makes $60,000, and we're both nurses, I'm $10,000 deprived, then you're going to be unhappy, right? But if you say, oh my gosh, the beautiful Persian saying that, I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet, right? So sometimes looking at people who have less than us and realizing, wow, I have a lot. That's to be, we need to be thankful about that. Okay, listening to music, okay? It does improve your mood. So just make sure you're listening to good music, right? Whatever that is. Okay. Savor the positive events, okay? I think that's really, really big. And I wanted to make a point right here that savor the positive events or moments, because earlier when I said that when we focus on the negatives, we neglect to look at the positives. And what we have to remember is that the positive things in our lives that are around us, they are like the air that we breathe, that we take it for granted. But when we're deprived of air, we notice it now. But when we have air, we're like, I could go out there, conquer the world, I'll take on anything, But then when we don't have it, we can't even survive, right? So I think we have to acknowledge that those positive things, our family, friends, people who are around us that support us, and that's why we're able to do the things we can do and tackle on problems and overcome it, it's because of them, right? So they are equally important in our survival and our happiness, right? So we need to get back to them. Something as simple as, hey, thank you. I really appreciate you helping me out. That goes a long ways. And go say thanks to your teachers, all right? Not me, the other teachers, okay? Because it's amazing how something as small as that can go a long ways. All right, speed up adaptation to negative events. So learn to overcome these negative events. How do you do it? Well, sometimes by writing it down, okay? It helps us to detach, so it's not so personal, right? Is there a downside to being too happy? Anybody? Be annoying? Okay. Can be annoying? All right, so the answer is yes. And here's some things. We're really happy. We tend to make more errors because we tend to be more stereotypical in our ways of thinking. Okay? So we actually can be careless. Right? So that's why it's not necessary to be 10 out of 10 to be happy. It's been found that people who are 8 out of 10 are very happy. Okay? If you're 10 out of 10, you're the ones who are a little bit careless, doing stuff that eventually bring down your happiness, right? All right, conclusion. So happiness is a positive feeling, and it's a positive way of thinking. Removing negative aspects of our life does not automatically make you happy. And positive psychologists focus not so much on what's wrong with you, but what's right with you. And people can learn to be happy. And by engaging in activities that are consistent with who you are, you can improve your happiness. Right. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions or anything, you can, I guess, come up here, ask me. I'll try to answer as best I can. If not, I'll send you an article or something.